All right, so now we're going to keep working at this, but we're going to work at this, do some practice problems. So we've got 4 different practice problems here for you. And I want you to keep just working them through using the same exact skills that we just talked about. So in this case, the first one here is g of 10. Here are each of our functions up here above. So you're going to need to use those 4 functions for each of these problems. All right, so g of 10, we're simply plugging in. So we have -3 times something plus that 1. And the something that we're plugging in is whatever number's right here. Remember, this right here is not the math. This part right here is not the math, right? Not math. What we want to do is want to plug in that 10. This is the math. This part right here that's the math. So if we simplify, we're left with -30 plus 1. That's going to give me -29. There you are. There's your first one. So take a second, press pause, and then try these out without my help, and then we'll come back to them and you can check your answers. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to very quickly give you the answers to these. So this one here was squared plus 7. If we plug in the 3 that we're told to, um, 3 squared is 9. So 9 plus 7 is 16. There you are. For letter C, if we're finding H right here, so that's going to give us 12 divided by whatever number we're asked to. That number in this case is -2. So that gives us -6. There's our number, our answer there. And so now, last but not least, J, we have 2 parentheses something plus 9, and that something is a 7. So we plug that in, left with 14 plus 9. That gives us 23. Okay. Now, one really important piece here is to look at this extension down below. And I really want you guys to notice that we're now going to take some of these answers that we found. So we found a couple of these, and we're going to, in this case, add them together, or we're going to subtract them. So really nothing extra to do here, but just to now use your answers to answer another question. So h of -2, we found that one right here. H of -2 was -6. And we're adding that. We're adding that with f of 3, and f of 3 was 16. So we're adding those two together. So -6 plus 16, that's going to equal 10. So our answer there is actually 10. Same thing happens. The j of 7, we found j of 7. J of 7 was 23. So 23 minus g of 10. G of 10 was -29. So now you got to be very careful there because 2 negatives make a positive. So this guy right here is really addition. So if we add those together, let's think about that if we do it in our heads. 20 plus 20 is 40. 3 plus 9 is 12. So 40 plus 12 is 52. So there you go. Those are your answers there. All right, so let's finish up. We're going to do a couple more things here. Less math. This one's all about looking at the graph. So now they've given you the function f of x. This guy right here, that's your function f of x. So what you have to do is you have to read the graph to figure out what the answer is. So for example, remember these are our x's. This right here, this is our x, okay? So it says f of -4. So we come over here, this is 0, 0. -4 on the x-axis is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So that's -4. Now, what we have to ask ourselves is, where is the actual graph? So here's the actual graph right there. That's the point we're going through. And if you notice, that's at a height of 2. See, this is 1 back here. That's 1 and 2. So that means that f of -4 is the point. Y coordinate there is 2. All right, going down, f of 0 is right there. We didn't go left or right at all because it's 0, and that was 0. Okay, we didn't go up or down. We're on the 0, 0 point. F of 2, so if we're doing this one right here, f of 2, we come over 1, 2, so we're right here. Our point is right there. So that's down at -2. All right, and you're going to see we're just going to keep doing the same thing, finding these points. So take a second, try and fill in the rest of those. just using the graph and finding those points on the graph. Okay, you're always looking at the y value. The y value is what you're writing on this blank. Okay. All right. So last but not least, here, let's finish these in. F of -2 was all the way up at +4. F of 5 was all the way over at -1. That's right here. F of 4 is going to be, it's not quite an even number, is it? F of 4 right there is not really an even number. So we're going to go like -1.25 if we want to just estimate. You're just guessing. It's not a problem if you're not perfect. F of -5 is over here. That's 0. And F of -1 is also kind of an estimate there. Let's say 2.5. Okay, last piece of the notes is to kind of interpret this in the context of a graph. So we have our time going across the x-axis and the distance that you've traveled along the y-axis. Okay, and it actually looks like it's the distance from home. That's really important because it's not the actual distance that you've traveled in all, it's the distance you are from home, how far away you are from home. So you can get further away from home and then you can come and get closer to home by returning. So if we look at D of 2, what we're going to explain by this, the 2, first of all, is our x, right? That's the number we're looking at right there. So this 2 stands for, what does that stand for? Well, that means that we've been traveling for 2 hours, right? Gulliver, in this case, is Gulliver's Travels, has been traveling for 2 hours at this point right here. Okay, well, how far has he traveled? Well, let's find that out. If we go up here, how far away from home is he? So since it goes over to the 4, that means we're 4 miles from home. All right, folks. So that's kind of what's going on. You're going to use that same idea across the board. D of 5. So we're going to go here, D of 5. This is where we've traveled for 5 hours, right? And we're a total of 11 miles from home. And then we start actually returning. If you look at the last question, D of 10, that means we've been on the road for 10 hours traveling, and we're all the way back. We've come all the way back home. We're at home, which means our distance is 0 miles. Okay, so it's kind of different to interpret you're still evaluating the function, but you're not doing any math. You're not doing any calculations. You're looking at the graph itself and making sure that you can interpret that graph. All right. Take your time to go back and review and redo anything that you need to. Best of luck.